Hello everybody, welcome back to Cm42TV. We're here today to talk about Deadpool. Rewatching Deadpool before the second one is released in about a week or something, a matter of days probably when you're watching this. Deadpool 2 set to be released in all of our cinemas a week before the new Star Wars film, which puzzles me slightly. Solo, Star Wars story, the Han Solo film is being released. I'm telling you that this is if you don't know, but yeah, that's coming out soon. And, you know, these are two massive films, two of the biggest films of the year, you know, a couple of weeks after Infinity War comes out as well. So it's surely will still be, you know, dominating most cinemas or whatever, but it's, you know, I suppose pre-summer is the new, you know, the new place to release all your biggest films. But Deadpool 2 is coming out today. I decided to watch the original. Here it is here. It's a funny one with this because it's been 2 years, over 2 years since the first film came out, and now the second one's about to drop. And you know, when you start joining watching film franchises and stuff like Harry Potter or Star Wars, Star Trek, that sort of thing, the time that elapses between the films is about 2 years, a year and a half. You know, Star Wars is 3 years, it's a bit more. Harry Potter was, you know, every year, maybe, you know, every year and a bit or whatever. So about 2 years is about your average time, you know, between Deadpool 1, Deadpool 2, whatever the first one versus, you know, the next one, or the second and the third film, whatever. 2 years is about average, the amount of time between a film. But it just feels like yesterday this film came out. I remember I made a video about it back in February of 2016. We talked about it on the podcast quite a bit. And it just feels like yesterday that the first film came out, and now we're talking about the sequel. How is the sequel already coming out? I feel like I've just seen the first one. And I literally have just seen the first one because I've just watched it, but you know what I mean. Just seen it in cinemas and stuff, and you know, I remember the experience being in the cinema, being excited to see this film. It's brand new to us, you know. Not many people were familiar with the Deadpool character other than the comics, the video game. I'm sure he appeared in the X-Men Origins Wolverine film, if my memory serves me correctly, but I don't know if it was the Deadpool character. I think it was just the Wade Wilson character who showed up there. And Ryan Reynolds obviously playing Deadpool here. He played the Green Lantern before, which got pretty negative reviews. I don't remember the film at all, but I do know I've seen it. One of those weird ones. I promise I wasn't drinking. I know I've seen the film, but I just can't remember anything, so I guess I'll go watch it again. Since I did like Ryan Reynolds, you know, a great deal in this film, I think he's the perfect actor for this part. He does a great job, he's particularly great in this film. But other than that, I don't really know much about Ryan Reynolds. I know he's in The Change Up with Jason Bateman, I believe, which I quite enjoyed. This is a sort of daft comedy or whatever. Other than that, I couldn't tell you many things that Ryan Reynolds is in. This is what he's known for in terms of me. And again, I guess my story with Deadpool is a little bit different because I did read the comics when I was a little bit younger. Not all the comics, I didn't start back in whenever the 50s or whatever Deadpool was first written. There was a couple of years I went through a phase where I was just, you know, me and my friends were, you know, reading comics or whatever. It was the cool thing to do, I suppose. And I just wanted to be a fan of a superhero that, you know, that I didn't know much about. I wanted to learn all these new things about a new character. I didn't want to start with Spider-Man or Batman or someone who I already had an opinion on. I wanted someone different. Even Wolverine would have been okay, or whoever. The Thing was the one I read some comics of. Fantastic Four as well, X-Men stuff. But then Deadpool was my one of choice, and I got graphic novels over a couple of Christmases and stuff. My favourite one was called Deadpool versus Deadpool, and it was just like somehow he got cloned and he was fighting himself. It was a great comic, and he was a great character to read about. But other than that, you know, I stopped in 2014 maybe reading these comics and stuff. So this was a good 2 years after. 2 years seems to be the magic number here. But 2 years after I stopped reading the comic books, the film was going to be released. So I went into this film a bit more, not excited, but ready to, knowing what to expect more than other people, I suppose, because I was somewhat familiar with the character. So I went in with these, you know, high expectations. This is a brand new Marvel film that's not part of the MCU. It's going to be R-rated. It's going to be a 15. We're going to have swearing and sex and blood and violence and these brutal fights and stuff in a Marvel film. And we got just that. And now rewatching it here, this is my third or fourth time seeing this film over the past 2 years. There's the magic number again. And I feel like my opinion of the film changes every single time. So when I first saw it back in 2016, I made a video about it and stuff, and I think it was a kind of mixed bag of opinions universally, but I personally loved the film because I think I was just all blown away by, look, it's Deadpool, who I used to watch and used to read when I was younger, and now he's on the cinema screen, and everybody here is going to now be a fan of Deadpool and stuff, and all the comedy was landing with me and stuff, and I thought the pacing was great, and of course Ryan Reynolds was great. His relationship with his partner, his girlfriend, is great. Chemistry between them is really, it really stands out. So after the film, I was thinking this is going to be one of the best films of the year, at least one of my favourite films of the year. And then, you know, I think it was my birthday or something, I got this on Blu-ray, watched it straight away, and I was a little bit underwhelmed. I was like, that wasn't as good as I remember it being, and which is quite rare for me, because usually my second watching of a film, I always prefer it. I don't know why, I just do. You know, it's happened with Nocturnal Animals, it happened with Batman vs Superman, it happened with whatever, you know, it's just any film that I watched originally that I loved ended up just getting better somehow when you watch that again, and you know, in a sort of more intimate setting, I suppose, on Blu-ray, on the TV or whatever. But this one, I don't know what it was. Maybe because I did have these expectations. Remember, I was just totally like in the zone watching it in the cinema. I was totally in the Deadpool vibe, like this is amazing. And then I went back and watched it just as a sort of, you know, I'll put it on, whatever. And it just wasn't as good. And that was a shame. I think it was like a WrestleMania weekend, or something was happening that weekend where I was maybe anticipating something more. And it just didn't land as well as I remembered. I was like, that's not funny, you know, the action scenes are just action scenes. You know, it's maybe because it was old news, we'd seen it before, we'd seen the rated R stuff, you know. It just wasn't as good as I remember seeing. Today, however, when I did watch this again in anticipation of seeing the sequel, I can say I really enjoyed it again. I enjoyed it much more than the second time, but not as much as the first. It's a weird story we're going through here. I thoroughly enjoyed it today. I thought it was a great film. I remember it being better, I suppose, and then I saw it the second time and I wasn't as impressed. This time I can happily say it ranks back up there in my mind anyway. It's been, you know, a really funny film, a really fun film. The pacing is great. It's really well put together. The fourth wall breaks do get a bit repetitive at some points. You're kind of like, right, we get it, you know, we're breaking the fourth wall. Hey, Col Cabana. It's like that, you know. It's fine at first, the first 4 or 5 times he does it, but then on fourth wall break number 6, you're kind of like, right, okay, Wade. I love some of the sort of smaller jokes, like when he says, we're going to go see the professor. Which one is it, Stewart or McAvoy? Things like that I think is really funny. That's really smart writing, and or even if it was improv, I know a lot of this film was improv, which again is a great thing, and kind of moves up in my opinion in terms of where I rate it and stuff, you know. I love improvisation, I think it's genius, and wish I was better at it, you know, something I've worked on for a long time anyway. But yes, happily, I can report Deadpool is back up in my mind in terms of, I guess, I don't want to say one of my favourite superhero films, one of my favourite films of that genre anyway. I'm really excited for the second one. I'm scared though it's not going to be as good, because this film did get a lot of mixed reviews, mainly, you know, mostly positive. It was kind of like, the average rating was about 7 or 8 out of 10, you know, which is really good, I guess. And everybody enjoyed the film. I just guess maybe they were looking for something a bit more funny, or a bit more Marvel, or a bit more superhero, that sort of thing. But we've gotten enough of that recently with Thor and Black Panther and Guardians, and of course Infinity War. So I'm really excited to see Deadpool 2. I hope it lands as well as it did with me in the first viewing of the first film in the cinema. I hope we have a good experience in the cinema, and I hope you do too. So please let me know what you think of the first film, what you think of the second film. You can get me on Twitter at Cm42TV, and of course, maybe we'll talk about it on the podcast at some point, or maybe, just maybe, we'll just do it on YouTube, because sometimes that's easier. Until next time, folks, thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe if you like what you see on the channel. Leave a comment, like the video, do whatever you got to do. Share it with a friend. We all like sharing. Till next time, folks, thank you very much for watching, and you take care of yourselves.